If you have been sewing for even just a little bit of time, you probably have found yourself with a lot of these little scraps that you really don't want to get rid of, but you also don't know what to do with. I have all of these specific scraps that I'm holding right now from a quilt that I made last year, one of my first quilts, my first quilt ever. These are so cute and so beautiful, but I really didn't want to throw them out, and I also didn't know what to do with them. So I did some researching, and in general, I found a lot of scrappy projects out there, but I felt like I either didn't have enough scraps or they weren't quite the right size. So the best way to use them, as I found, was to quilt some more, but making small projects. And in general, this is kind of something that I've been trying to do more of for this new year, that is using up every single piece of fabric that is in my stash. As part of this new resolution that I have of using as much fabrics in my stash as I can, be it larger bolts of fabric that was left from a project or little tiny scraps like these, I thought that I would show you one of the projects that I did, which used a bunch of these scraps and make really cute bags with it. I found this as a free, not quite a pattern, sort of a tutorial on Pinterest, and I'll put the link to the one that I mostly used. Kind of did my own twist on it and made it work for the scraps that I had. And I started making these little bags that they could be pencil cases, makeup bags, or really anything you want. And you can see different sizes because I was using different types of scraps just to make them work. And I really like how they turned out. I like that they're kind of stand on their own, that you can make them of different sizes, that you can use all types of scraps. Like for this one, I used like larger pieces of scraps that were more rectangular, or you can just, make squares and quilt it that way. But not only was I using my larger scraps for the inside of the fabric and my smaller ones for the outside, but I even used the scraps that I had for my batting, because you need that for quilting, and some zippers that I had lying around that I didn't know what to do with. So all around, a very scrappy project. I know there's like millions, like I said, of them out there, but I thought I show you how I did this one, because I'm making quite a few of these to give as gifts and just to have laying around, and it's such a nice quick little project. I'm gonna show you how I did it and like a little tutorial. If you have any questions, please throw them in the comments, and happy sewing.
Start by selecting and sorting through your stash of scraps. As you can see, I had a lot of smaller ones and a lot of bigger ones, so I kind of divided them so that I knew which ones I would use for the lining and which for the outside. So then I went ahead and started cutting them. I tried to stick to a size that would work for most of the scraps, so I went with 4x4 inches, I think. And then I could start, once I had all my scraps, I could start organizing them to find the shape that I needed. I ended up going with a 3x3 grid of square scraps to begin with. Once I was happy with the configuration, I went ahead and sewed them. I think I used a 1/4 inch seam allowance with all of them, and I sewed them in columns, but it helps to take a picture of the configuration so you know what it's gonna look like. Once all the pieces were sewn, I went back and cut about 1/2 inch on each side just to make it more of a rectangular shape. And then I cut the exact same size of the lining fabric to match it to the front fabric. I also used some batting that I had from a previous project, some scraps, to cut about the same size as the bag is gonna be, and I sandwiched it in between the lining and the front fabric. And then I made sure to keep everything together by using some safety pins to just kind of secure it before I went into quilting. To quilt, I used a stitch in the ditch stitch, just stitching on top of the already existing stitches and following that, which created a simple quilting pattern in the back. And then I used my serger to just kind of clean up all of the edges and basically close up all the open edges. Then I went ahead and selected the zipper, and I sewed the zipper onto the shorter side on both sides, to opposite sides, so that the front sides would be together. Here you can see how it is sewn in, and then you can see the lining on the outside. So then we are gonna take it and fold it in half so that the zipper is in the middle, and that we can sew this sides that are open, again with the right sides together. So this zipper that I used was a little bit short. You can see here that it didn't go all the way to the end. So it's better that you use a zipper that's longer. So I just kind of went and sew it in a way that it covered that hole. And before I turn it around, I actually made like a little triangle, as you can see, on the corner. And then I measured that to about 1 inch so that it would be the same on each side. But I did the same with every corner. And this is gonna create like a meter corner on each of the bag's corners. You can cut the leftover fabric on the triangle, or you can leave it as is. I just left it in there. But if you cut it, you just gotta make sure to either serge or clean it up, the edge. So then that was it. I was able to turn it inside out and kind of, you know, put it into place. And you can see that you have a bag. It sits on its own, which is nice. And it's a small one, but you can make it bigger if you use more squares. I think it came out really cute. What do you think?
I also wanted to add that I haven't finished this one, but as I was making it, I realized another type of bag that would be very easy to use to make with just adding a zipper on top and sewing the sides on the inside would be like a more of a rectangular little bag for something a little larger maybe. But I mean, once I had these little quilted squares, I started having more ideas on what to do with them. So even just making a quilted square or rectangle like this one, I think already gives you more of a possibility of scrappy projects to do. If anything, you could always put all the scraps together and make one big piece of fabric. Why not? Maybe that's the next project for whenever I have even more scraps. Because they never end. The scraps never end. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and that you are also going to go back to your sewing stash and find all those little scraps and pieces of fabric that you can use to make these types of bags. And if you want to see more scrappy projects like this, make sure to like and follow. And I hope that I will stick to my resolution and actually make more of these, or even just projects from my stash. If you have any other suggestions or other projects that you'd like to make with scrappy fabric, please put them in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. Happy sewing!